to have another shot this time around. And he's been spending. Raheem Sterling is here, but not playing tonight, having flown in just a couple of days ago. Right decision not to play him yet?
I think with such a grueling journey, getting across to the other side of the world, there is that element of, there's a slight element of risk in playing so closely after such a long playing journey. And the sports scientists, the strength and conditioning coaches will know the risks that come with that, and they'll want to usher him in as gently as possible. £49 million, you can't go rushing into a game after that.
That's John van Schip, former Ajax man, and was Marco van Basten's right-hand man with the Dutch national team and at Ajax. Here's the coach of Melbourne City. In terms of Raheem Sterling, we heard him talk just before the game, saying he's really disappointed with the way it ended at Liverpool and the way the move, the climax, all panned out for him.
I think from a human aspect, I'm sure there is disappointment, but you can't be naive enough to think that it wouldn't leave a bad taste in people's mouths. It's the nature of the beast at this moment in time. Football, money does talk, and players do have the kind of power to be able to lean on a situation to bend it to their advantage, as has happened with Raheem Sterling.
And he said just before the teams came out here that as soon as Manchester City made their interest known, he wanted to go.
And hopefully he can back that up with game time and getting Manchester City up the league and into the Champions League and helping in the Champions League, but also working towards not just this season, but seasons to come.
Blue Moon ringing out on the Gold Coast of Australia. Manchester City, a global force up against Melbourne City. And keep an eye out, number 9 there, Harry Navillo, who's come through the Lyon Academy and was brought in to replace the injured Damien Duff at the back end of last season and has been signed permanently. He's one that Manchester City may have to keep an eye on this evening. There's Pablo Maffeo, the Manchester City right back, who had a good campaign with the under-21s last time around. Manchester City hopeful that a few of these youngsters that we will see will make the grade. There's one of the old heads, Jesus Navas. Garcia's there for the pullback. Looks for Garcia. He tried to find a top right-hand corner, but the 17-year-old out of luck.
You instantly see the Yaya Toure getting on the ball and spraying the ball out wide to Navas. Wonderful array of passing, and made a good point there, Gary, about the fact of these younger players that need to come through. I was reading Stuart Pearce's comments about they do have the financial clout to lay out £50 million odd for people like Raheem Sterling, but following the Barcelona example, they do need to get youth coming through the ranks.
Yeah, likes of Garcia, Maffeo, Humphreys, Barker as well. He's one of the great hopes for Manchester City. Brandon Barker, who we saw in the under-21s last season. Clichy. Caballero played a couple of times in the Premier League last season. On both occasions, conceded 2 goals, but both occasions came out a winner. That's Vincent Kompany, and that was risky.
It's intriguing to see in these early games in pre-season. Footballers do want to get fit as soon as possible, and those kind of the grueling running aspects of it, which is a little more scientific nowadays. It is there, but they do want to get into match sharpness and a match rhythm as quickly as possible.
Hughes wearing number 3 for Melbourne City. Damien Duff told him as soon as this offer came in, you have to go. If you don't go and play for Melbourne City and enjoy the life in Australia, I won't talk to you again. So Aaron Hughes made the switch. Great opportunity for him and his family at the end of his career.
Absolutely. Obviously valued Damien Duff's friendship as well, to make sure that he still talks to him. But yeah, of course, it's not just a footballing move, it's a whole lifestyle change, and credit to him for taking the plunge and heading out there.
There's Barker, a Mancunian. Now Maffeo. Barker again, who scored against Adelaide United in the first pre-season friendly. This is Cameron Humphreys, who's from Moston. And there is a beating Mancunian heart at Manchester City. The last regular Mancunian to play for the club was Michael Johnson.
it's good that you do get the local lads coming through. I mean, Manchester City doesn't strike me as a team or a club that is necessarily seen as too mainstream. They have got some very, very big, high-class, talented players, but these players seem to be taken to the fans' hearts because they play with such a verve and a passion for the club and the city.
Sammy and Asri, who many thought was in the departure lounge this summer.
And I think that's to do with the fact that at such a high-end club, there's always a price on a player's head, and there's always somebody there, and there's always another player willing to be snapping at the heels. When they've got that kind of financial clout, they can go out and buy the players that they need to get to reaffirm their title challenge.
Plenty of Manchester City support on the Gold Coast. Many who have flown in to follow their heroes on their pre-season tour. Others locally based. There's Nabillo. Jafero finding Nabillo once more. It's a tricky customer. He really got his chance at Leon. And he's picked out Clisby here on the overlap.
Good initial work there from Nabillo, and a good bit of a full-back play by Clisby to get beyond him. It's a shame the cross didn't work out, but looks like Maffei's got a job in his hands with Harry Nabillo. Be tricky with the ball to feet, good balance, to be a strong player. Maffei did well though, he's not turned his back too much, he's stood up.
Patrick Vieira, a big fan of Pablo Maffeo. His first season in the under-21s last year. And he's convinced Patrick Vieira that he's got a future. John Van Schip, the coach of Melbourne City, who, like Manuel Pellegrini, is under pressure with the money rolling in. Melbourne City, well, the club who were once known as Melbourne Heart. They were a club whose players used to take ice baths and recycle bins, and then the money came in, and with it comes the pressure. The back line under pressure here.
There is a pressure with massive investment, but football is a game, obviously, played from a human being aspect of it. It's not a business that just runs and runs and runs. Pressure on these players to deliver.
Manchester City, they have a plush new training base. Sami Nasri the corner. Just a little ahead of Cameron Humphreys. There's Nabillo. That's Trefero, one of the trialists in this Melbourne City team. Nabillo once more. It's Chapman. He's looking to try and stand his ground. Company across on the cover. Decker, the young striker, trying to put Vincent Kompany under pressure. Melbourne City made the semi-finals of the finals last season before losing out to Melbourne Victory, who are a big, big team in Melbourne, and so Melbourne City are having to who are a big, big team in Melbourne, and so Melbourne City are having to face big rivals. Nabillo trying to get onto that, but it was good tracking back by Jesus Navas to make sure that Nabillo didn't have a clean shot at that.
It was good defensive play by Navas. It's another element of pre-season, getting back into it, not just fitness-wise, but getting your bearings back on the pitch, getting into good habits, going with the runners, tracking the space.
Just about enough on that from Clisby to find Hughes.
Quite obviously not overawed Melbourne. They really are trying to get the ball down and
Melbourne City goal. Sami Nasri with the corner. Fernando getting to it. Here's Fernando again. Now Humphreys. Nasri with plenty of space here to measure this. Sami Nasri trying to put it into a dangerous area. Trefero got to it. And a quick Novillo after this. Tidied up by Maffeo.
It was a good match at that, Maffeo and Novillo. Well, Maffeo to snuff out the trouble, or potential trouble, should I say, from Harry Novillo.
That's Jason Trefero. In his late 20s, a trialist here. Been around the Australian A-League for a few years, but made his debut late as a 24-year-old. It's a big night for him, trying to win a move to Melbourne City. Trying to be a part of the ambitious future of the football club.
Yeah, definitely got aspirations of going places. Since it was by a club, I don't think if it's going to be lucrative or have a good return or have some kind of successful future. But right, let's figure out with the infrastructure that they're trying to build, the training ground, they can attract players from around the world to come and help them push forward.
Fernando. Bartolou, he's an important part just in front of the back four. There's Trefero again.
The matchup is pretty good at the base of the midfield. Trefero and Bartolou. Garcia there, he's got a couple more players than perhaps he'd like to have to deal with. Would need Nasri in and around him to help close down. Because at the moment it seems like Man City are quite happy to allow Melbourne City onto them and then press when they've got numbers.
Bartolou again, squanders possession. Yaya Toure. Bartolou having the presence of mind to help Toure down. Corrin. Yaya Toure with the skill and bought the foul.
Such wonderful feat for a big man. You know about his power and his pace going forward and the kind of energy that he's got, but ball into feet, very intricate the way he deals with the ball.
Being assured he's still a big part of Manchester City's future, Yaya Toure. His goal return was down last season, his shooting accuracy was down as well.
You can't really envisage a time, well, not in the near future, where he would be surplus to requirements. Such a great player for Manchester City, and he strikes me as a player that sometimes perhaps needs dealing with in a slightly different way to other players. Maybe the arm round, maybe the fact of knowing that he's loved and wanted and needed. Different buttons work for different players.
He's played around about 5 big tournaments, as well as the Premier League and what he's doing in Manchester City. In the last couple of years, he's had one couple of years of playing football, week in, week out, Yaya Toure. So he's had a good rest this time around, this summer.
It's like for an international footballer, it has become a year-round sport, whereas you would get the 2 or 3 months in the summer to be able to chill out. It's not quite the same now.
Eric Bartolou. Now Robert Corrin. Here's Aaron Hughes. See a late on Trefero, referee waving play on. Sterling in town, in place. Few cheers for Raheem Sterling. We did see a few Liverpool shirts in the crowd earlier on, by the way. But he says Ambition, not cash, has been key to his big move.
I've just flown over to boo him, sure. Have to get used to that aspect of it. Just strike he was a very level-headed lad that can take that kind of criticism on the chin and switch off and plays football. No doubt it'll be a huge asset to Manchester City. It's just the pressure that comes with that.
Well, he has to be consistent from here on in with that kind of price tag. There's Jesus Navas.
And that is what I think it's the real kind of dichotomy in the fact that for that type of money, people want guaranteed returns, but we are talking about human beings that are prey to all kinds of pressures and emotions and anxieties through a season. We will be looking for instant results and kind of tangible return on such a huge outlay.
Jesus Navas. Now Toure. There's Garcia. Turned down Real Madrid and Barcelona to make the move to Manchester City. He wanted to play in the Premier League.
Jack, shoulder.
Toure. So now it's Guy Clichy. Marker in the middle. By Connor Chapman.
Never much to do with Clichy. It was only back in the middle of the box.
And he drops and drops and drops, and we end up in the penalty box. So got to get Eric and Jason to go over, so we don't have to then get a player that's going to be under pressure or get isolated.
Up there is Luciano Trono, who's the assistant manager of Melbourne City, who is mic'd up for this game tonight, so we can hear those instructions coming from the bench.
Both innovative and very brave. There was several managers that I played for that if you mic'd up, you'd all be learning new words.
The goalkeeper, Tando Valafi, is also mic'd up here, so we may well hear from him throughout the game. That's the plan.
You'll see what outfield players have to put up with now with goalkeepers mic'd up.
Nicely done by Decker. He's one of the youth players at Melbourne City.
It's the place where Corrin's picking the ball up there. He's probably the more creative player for Melbourne. They want him to be getting on the ball a good 30-40 yards further up the pitch. At which point in the most creative play, getting the ball off the centre halves and playing to the other centre half or one of the other holding midfielders. Needs to be up in and around behind the Man City midfield, in between them and the Man City back four.
Toure seeing the run of Navas. Likewise, Tando Valafi. A few weeks ahead for the Melbourne City goalkeeper because there's talk of Thomas Sorensen signing for Melbourne City. Valafi the only recognised number one right now. There's Trafiro. Barker at the moment, spearheading the Manchester City attack and trying to latch onto that. And the door was slammed shut by Connor Chapman. Manu Garcia. Chapman with the foul and the presentable chance now for Manchester City.
This is where perhaps if we have the microphone on Valafi, we see how he glands his wall up.
Whistle. Hey! Hey! It's that side. Hey! Strap right! Strap right! Hey! It's that side. 5.
That's how difficult it can be for a goalkeeper to get his instructions across to his defensive wall.
This way, this way, this way.
And when you see Yaya Toure lining up, I think you just hope for the best.
Yaya Toure! It was almost magical.
Disappointment there, the fact that he has got the ball over the wall really well. Just probably a bit too close to get it up and down. Very, very quick trajectory up and down. A couple of inches below, and that's Manchester City going 1-0 ahead.
Well, he's a man who can doing almost anything on a football pitch, Yaya Toure. That's why when his numbers drop, the focus is upon him, but he's been such a massive part of what Manchester City have achieved. Some big moments, really important moments with that Manchester City patch on his chest.
And the reason why there's been so much exposure to it and focus on it is the fact that he's set such high standards. Vincent Kompany as well. We'll talk about kind of an injury hit season last year. Not quite as consistent, but two wonderful, wonderful players. And it is because of these extraordinary, very high levels of class that set that they are judged against them constantly.
Toure. Fernando. There's Humphreys. Bartolou. Fernando and Savini. Yaya Toure, the last thing Melbourne City want was him charging at them. And wide in the end by Sami Nasri, but you can see there the presence, the power of Yaya Toure.
Slowly, when he just goes through the gears there, you see him glide past the opposition midfield. So he's got that in his locker.
Well, Nasri watched on. It was Barker who had the attempt in the end. Did play against Hamburg in January, Brandon Barker. And a friendly there, and didn't feel that he showed what he was capable of. And these youngsters, they really do have to take their chance, because chances will be few and far between, and when they are named in games such as these and playing in front of their manager, they really have to step up. Barker hoping to do that here.
They'll do every game that they play in front of the hierarchy. He's an audition into getting into the first team, into the first team squad. It's the pressure that's on the players nowadays, not just these huge multi-million-pound signings, but the young players that want to get a foot in the door. You might only get 1 or 2 games to prove yourself, and in those games, you've got to take it.
He's a player who can use both feet, Brandon Barker. Wants to play as a winger and cut inside. 18-year-old from Droylsden. Playing through the middle at the moment for Manchester City. And interesting to see what Manuel Pellegrini goes with this season. Throughout his career, his management career, he's always been a 4-4-2 man.
Javier looking for the quick release. Drilled at the back of the Melbourne City player. I think at the end he was appealing for something there that perhaps wasn't to be appealed for. That's what pre-season's for. Not just getting the fitness levels up, but there is that element of experimentation with the formation. Pellegrini does have some quite set ways of playing, but kind of an attacking array of talent that they've got. You need to be malleable, you need to have plans B and C.
Referee forward from right back. Bartolou beaten to the punch. And a big Yaya Toure. In terms of the formation, though, Manuel Pellegrini did switch towards the back end of the season to playing 5 in the midfield, and Manchester City won their last 6 Premier League games playing that way.
And I suppose there's 2 schools of thought there. You look at the fact that he has been willing to change to try and get the results, or you could think perhaps you do that a month earlier, 6 weeks earlier. You never know where you might end up, and those extra points garnered, where would they have been able to pick off Chelsea towards the latter end of the season? You just don't know. So perhaps he's looking at a way to change things quicker. One big plus you'd say of Jose Mourinho is the fact that he does identify and he is unafraid to make changes.
There's Novillo. Toure. There's a quick Jesus Navas. Applied into a really good area by Navas, who He finished the season with 8 assists in the Premier League last time around. Only Sergio Aguero could match that in a Manchester City shirt.
Just slightly more the numbers in the box that they need to work on Manchester City so far in this game. They've had Garcia getting in there, Barker once or twice, but when Navas has got the ball, they're whipping it in. He's only got one man to aim for.
Dealt with comfortably by Pablo Maffeo. Clichy. Nasri. This company. He was alive to that. Company out-muscling Wade Decker, who got the better of him earlier on, but not that particular time. It's a good presence of Partaloo. Decker again. Again, Company wins the duel.
Just seems to have shaken off that early 5 minutes of rustiness, Vincent Kompany. Caught on the ball a couple of times and knocked off the ball, but that's 2, 3, 4 challenges he's made. He's been very strong, very committed.
And he was back in the office a couple of weeks earlier than the rest. Vincent Kompany wants to be stronger, fitter, says he's hungrier than ever. Knows he had his critics last season, wants to silence them.
It's a great example of how to lead a football club and how to lead just on the pitch but off the pitch, by setting the right examples for the younger players that they've got with them on tour here.
This is Navas. Clisby sticking to it.
Got job in his hand there, Clisby playing against Navas. Stood it well though. His distance is right. Slightly sharp way of blocking the ball, but he blocked it nonetheless.
Navas with that set piece. Torre all the time in the world. And Melbourne City can't afford to give him that kind of space all time because he will punish them.
Interesting to see what Valafi says about the fact that Yaya Torre has been allowed to bring the ball down on his chest just outside the 6-yard box from a corner of all things. Doesn't have been a good block, but Yaya Torre shouldn't have the time and the space to be able to get it down on his chest to get the volley off. Great strike. Looks like he's nestling in the bottom corner, perhaps in off the post.
Company. Maffeo.
Look at the game of the first coming up to half an hour. There is that element of it being a pre-season game. Both teams look to be trying to get the ball down and play. As I mentioned earlier, getting into a good rhythm of and a pattern of play. But it is still very early days. Melbourne City's a couple of weeks into it. Manchester City 10 days into it. So there is an element of perhaps the brakes have been applied in certain places.
There goes Brandon Barker. Now Navas. Barker. Garcia. Toure. Now Nasri. Toure, nicely done. This is Sami Nasri, who couldn't apply the finish. Beautifully done though by Manchester City initially.
There's a wonderful intricate play between Nasri and Yaya Toure. You do look when they get in these wide areas looking to put it in the box, but they do suck Melbourne City into the 1-2. So you've really got to be on your mettle there, especially against the players of this type of calibre. Let's go for the 1-2. You block the play, you get yourself back in position. Don't allow the runner to go free.
We couldn't find the form last season of his previous campaign. It was a season cut short in the end by a groin injury, so he's been putting the hours in over the summer to make sure he's ready for the new season, and he wants to stay at Manchester City. There's Jesus Navas. Navas! Luffy getting down to it.
So there from Valapi, really fired in at him by Navas. So
Navas giving chase. Waiting for some support in the middle. Parker was the only man who was there on the edge of the box.
This seems to be the case so far. They are looking to play the way into the box more centrally than really go wide and whip the ball in. Look where the Melbourne City players are all bunched together. That's where their strength is, trying to diverge them into the middle of the pitch.
Jesus Navas onto Sami and Asri. To an area where there was no sky blue shirt. Nicely done by Paolo Retre.
It's the biggest cheer of the night so far, nutmegging Yaya Toure.
Moment to remember. This is Corrin into a really good area and fired over the crossbar by Stefan Mauk. You will wonder how on earth he managed to do that.
I think when something like that happens and that chance is missed, he's looking at the linesman hoping that he's offside, I think. A cheeky little nutmeg there on Yaya Toure. Would lead to a wonderful chance. And obviously, the third man running's onside. Nice little ball in from Corrin. But then there is that look across the line, hoping to be offside, so it mitigates the fact that you've missed the chance. Best chance of the game.
Well, just to make it worse for the 19-year-old is that every replay is getting the same reaction around the stadium. Disbelief that he didn't fire that home and have a big goal on his CV against Manchester City.
It's one of those chances where it's almost the player has already seen the ball in the back of the net without actually carrying out the action of scoring the goal. Almost too easy, shall we say.
Jesus Navas. There's Fernando. Yaya Toure. Toure away from Trefiro. This is Navas. Jesus Navas! Valapi got something on that, and he had to as well. He was helped out by his crossbar, but he deserved his luck.
It was a good save by Valapi, but again, the ball comes out to Navas and he's got nothing to aim at in the box. Yaya Toure comes in there late. So he takes it by the scruff of the neck. Navas comes inside, great effort on his left foot, but Valapi very much equal to it.
Sandro Valapi has just pointed towards Yaya Toure because of what happened with the previous corner. There's Novillo holding off Maffeo. Alba Maffeo again. Space again for Jesus Navas. Clisby in the way that time. There's Cartalou and Maffeo coming together there. Cartalou left grounded, the referee waving play on. As Melbourne City break forward here. Stefan Mauk. Manchester City squad isn't at full power yet. Still plenty to join the group. The likes of Sergio Aguero and Pablo Zabaleta and Fabian Delph as well, who was due to jet out over the weekend. Deciding that maybe the once in a lifetime chance to join one of the world's rising powers was just too much to turn down. He made the move yesterday.
Understandable, but yeah, it is still a risk that players like Scott Sinclair that have come and gone. It is such a huge machine to play for now. Pressure that comes with it.
As a footballer, you have to back your talent, don't you?
Absolutely. I think that's what the kind of not genetic makeup, but the mental makeup of a footballer is. You need to have that unerring self-belief. This day and age they're out.
That's Nasri.
Again, coming back into the game and coming in off that left-hand side. Nice little shot away with his right foot. Going back to the kind of signings that they've got, Manchester City, you do have to back yourself as a professional footballer, but kind of streams of opinion and advice and conjecture is all out there. Social media, TVs, papers, you're constantly monitored and pressured. It is truly the wrong sport to get into if you're not happy with being pulled apart or criticised or objectified. Comes with the territory. And also nowadays comes with the wage package.
Cameron Humphreys. A few games for the City on the 21s last season.
Intriguing to see what Manuel Pellegrini does with the second half, whether it's going to be the traditional pre-season game where you see a fairly settled starting 11, and then in the second half it seems to be a treadmill of different players and substitutes coming on.
They do have mainly youngsters on the bench, Manchester City, for this game, including Enes Ünal, the Turkish striker, who they signed in the summer. So a few of those should get their chance in the second half. There's company. Sami Nasri. Now Toure. There's Clichy.
Second ball, get up.
And you do hear the information coming from Valafi there. It's been a vital, informative tool so far, hearing what the goalkeeper's got to say. Such a massive part of the game, the communication.
Nasri, Toure. There's Barker.
Get out.
And the fact that the goalkeeper wants to hold a high line, realises there's not many Manchester players in the box.
Who's busted?
Yeah, they've not flooded numbers into the penalty area so far in this game, Manchester City.
The short shot passing to drag the Melbourne City players out, perhaps create a gap as we saw between the 1-2 of Yaya Toure and Sami Nasri.
They're playing without a recognised striker. Ismail Garcia likes to play the number 10 role. Barker likes to play out wide. This is Jesus Navas.
And as we said, looking to play that ball into feet as Navas comes in off the wing. Wonderful touch inside that sets up the chance. Drags it at the end. The quality of Jesus Navas, and you're looking for him to hit the target there, but it's that way he's come off his perch out on the right hand side. You can see his disappointment. He knows he's better than that.
.15 Premier League assists over the last 2 seasons for Jesus Navas.
Pocket. Ball slide over.
Looks at Nasri and Silva when they play wide, like to come inside. Navas likes to stay outside and try and whip the ball in, but City not really playing with the recognised striker so far in this game. Navas with no real target to pick out.
Absolutely, if you bread and butters on whipping balls into a central striker from wide areas and you haven't got a central striker to aim at, it's going to be hard. The way Man City do line up, the kind of short, sharp passing, slightly smaller play, so perhaps they're not going to stick to shelling the ball in the box. They are going to work through the thirds, more central, look to drag the players out of the opposition areas.
Now that's once more. Toure will stretch, almost got to it. Navillo coming away with it. Navillo held up by Maffeo, who's had to put in quite a shift. Manchester City right back in this first half.
Studied first half, Pablo Maffeo. I thought he'd done enough here. The fact that he's got his arms up, invites the foul, but I thought he'd done well to get his body in the way. He's ended up obstructing Navillo. It's right to not allow him to get a head of steam up. Sometimes taking a booking in the area for his team to slow the opposition down.
Goalless on the Gold Coast. Manchester City striking the crossbar, but a couple of other good chances, but the best chance of the game so far has fallen to Stefan Mauk, who blew his big chance. Here's Navillo. Navillo and Caballero with a fine save.
Set the game so bright in Navillo, then in the middle 20-25 minutes went really quiet. Sprung back into life here. Great feet, the way he manipulates the ball around, works the shot, works the angle. Vieira gets a couple of good fingertips to it. Nice little drop of the shoulder that buys him half a yard away from Vincent Kompany.
Corrin lurking just around the goal line. Vincent Kompany takes charge. There's Trefiro. Squeeze that ball back.
You see the way he just angles the ball towards that top corner. Caballero, big goalkeeper. You do well to get it over the top of him from there and into the goal. He's equal to it. Shows good agility.
Navillo again. He's a player who's brought in at the back end of last season when Damien Duff was injured, and then Melbourne City decided to sign him on a permanent deal through the established Lyon Academy. Didn't feel he got a chance at Lyon.
He shows a good approach and attitude to his vocation. He's willing to go somewhere to get games, to get his game time up and get as many minutes under his belt as possible. He's shown in patches tonight that he's got skill, balance, poise. Strong runner once he gets a head of steam up, and chance to pull away from Caballero. Great effort.
Getting a little bit heated out there. Maffeo not too impressed. Now there's Navillo, but they've been at it from the start of this game. These two, it's been a good battle.
That's what Maffeo's trying to say there. Navillo's arm coming across him, but we've seen Pablo Maffeo give it as good as he's got so far. One challenge on Partey was particularly juicy. Fair to say that they're not agreeing on a point here. It's always good when you got Vincent Kompany to come over and be able to back you up.
Come on, Jack! Jack, come on! All the way,
Maffeo's minder. There's Toure. Garcia, Toure again. Toure has been up against the trialist Jason Trefiro in this game, and I'm guessing that when you're a trialist, you're trying to move to the particular club. You don't want your Tory up against you, but Melbourne City has managed to keep Manchester City at bay. Manchester City striking a crossbar. The Villow's been good for Melbourne, who had the best chance of the first half. Stefan Mauk firing somehow over the crossbar from point-blank range. Half-time on the Gold Coast between these two sister clubs. It's Melbourne City 0, Manchester City 0.
Sky Academy uses the power of TV, creativity and sport to unlock the potential in young people.
With Hotels.com's mobile app, you can book a hotel room from your smartphone, from your tablet, from your different kind of smartphone, from your even smarter kind of smartphone, in fact, from almost any device you might decide to take on your travels. Which is obviously useful if someone forgot to book in the first place. Hotels.com, the obvious choice.
Sunlight comes creeping in, illuminates our skin. We watch the day go by, stories of all we did. They made me think of you, they made me think of you. Oh, lights go down. If these wings could fly for the rest of our lives,
When the car phone warehouse said to me, Keith, we want you to tell everyone about this thing, I said, yeah, I'll tell everyone, but I mean everyone, specifically people in because I fancied an holiday in Japan. They said it compares oodles of deals to find the best possible for everyone. Because everyone is different, like me and this guy. So pop in store now and get your own super mega personalised deal using this thing. Quiet, you're going to ruin it! Car phone warehouse. They compare, you save.
Your parents, teachers, all told you one way to be. You ignored them. This is our chance to make a difference.
You guys ready to have your minds blown?
No one man should have all that power. I got the power, make your life so exciting.
Fantastic Four in
Music was strictly for listening, but in 1735, Lord Somersby just happened to slip on ice. In his efforts to save his Somersby cider, his body moved rhythmically. Well, kind of. I will call this dancing. From that moment on, dancing spread like disco fever. Somersby's fresh thinking, it is now socially acceptable to shake your booty like a Polaroid picture. Or at least that's what I heard. New Somersby Apple Burst Cranberry and Blackberry Cider. Unreal history, real refreshment.
Okay, guys, bring that baby back.
But the beer is on our way. Tell the kids, Daddy's coming home.
We're up number 5.
Course 90. Coordinates locked.
Planet Earth, good to see you, buddy.
Houston, we're back.
Luton Airport regrets delays due to an unscheduled arrival.
2 for 1 from £69.
They say good things come to those who wait. So relax. Just forget about the final whistle, because sometimes you just gotta take the money and run. Bet365, the world's favourite online sports betting company.
You're Sam, right?
Yes.
Winston Wolfe. Don't get up. So you're a landlord now, a property magnate, a player.
It's just my wife's old flat. I didn't know that.
Prize plum.
Sorry?
It goes well with magnolia.
City's forecast made up mainly of youngsters. Still waiting for some of the big hitters to join them as the tour goes on. Holsfield. There's Cameron Humphreys. Let's get on with it.
A great experience for him, and I'm sure Vincent Company is the type of captain and player that not only helps in games but in training, in and around the club. And again, we see James Horsfield coming on from Maffeo, who had a lively first half. I thought Maffeo did up his work. Got out playing against Novillo, but acquitted himself well.
Horsfield, another local boy from Hazel Grove. He's a midfielder by trade, can play fullback. Horsfield, as he's now saw plenty of the ball down the right-hand side in the first half. Looks like Barker is still spearheading the attack.
It was a feature of Manchester City in the first half. Navas was given the width on the right-hand side, but coming towards the left, they were very much looking to go through the middle, Manchester City.
Torre. Company. There's Barker. Back to Barker. He's having their first pre-season with the first team. Training sessions.
We'll soon find out that the standards that these world-class players get to is only through sheer hard work and determination.
To show his pace, and the ball had rolled out.
Raw pace, Navas, but Flisby got his body in the way very well there, I thought, just to shepherd the ball out.
This player whose place may be under threat with the signing of Raheem. There's a thought that maybe Manuel Pellegrini may go 4-3-3 this coming season.
Well done, Eric.
It's the assistant manager, Luciano Trana, who,
You've got to do it, son.
as we heard, is mic'd up for this game.
What you said there, Gary, about the 4-3-3 that perhaps they may employ with Raheem Sterling. You can't see £49 million player coming in and being at the mercy of rotation. Obviously, form and fitness come into it, but he would be looking to start the majority of games for Manchester City.
Navas. Humphreys. Humphreys again. The Academy Player of the Year in Manchester City last season. Barker again, showing like side. There's a hand on his shoulder, and he looks which turns the appeals down.
Wasn't too vociferous in his appealing there, was he, Barker? But just feel a hand on his shoulder as he goes into the box. Run the risk once you get that close to the opposition player in the box of conceding a foul.
Manchester City, the plan was to produce their own talent within the next 6 or 7 years.
Yes, so here's a quick announcement from me. Stay here for Melbourne City versus Manchester City's current score is 0-0, as you can see. Or at 10 o'clock, you can go back to my channel and there will be a live introduction of the International Champions Cup, Roma versus Real Madrid. Or at the end of this, next on this channel will be the Barclays Asia Trophy third place playoff between Stoke City and Singapore Select 11. And after that will be the Barclays Asia Trophy final between Arsenal and Everton. All live today on April only.
He guesses that when he gets the ball and looks to make him as much ground as possible with those long, rangy legs of his. No.
We have some issues with the internet. Please come back and we will. Please stand by. All here this morning and afternoon on AHQ. We still have some internet issues. Just stay tuned. All I'm asking you from HQ and the team is a donation so we can carry on giving you live coverage. Just don't, if everyone had donated between 10 and 30 pounds, this will be over in under a week. For live audio commentary in the 2015-16 season in the Premier League, Champions League, Europa League, Pre-Season, International Champions Cup, FA Cup, League Cup, Bundesliga, La Liga, El Clasico, the Munich Derby, anything in Europe will be live here on AP. Just pick what you want to watch. We have a wide array of events for you this month and next month before the introduction of the league. If I can just show you here, I'm going to show you here now. So, all the way to here. So, as I told you, International Champions Cup, Roma vs Real Madrid, Barclays Asia Trophy, third place player from finals, live MLS, New England vs New York City, that is live at midnight, the 21st, which is this Tuesday, live International Champions Cup, Manchester City, who are playing today, versus Roma, who are also playing today in the introduction of the Champions Cup against Real Madrid. On Thursday, you'll have Qatar versus West Ham United next Thursday. Then next Friday, you'll have International Champions Cup action, Real Madrid versus Manchester City. We're playing now. I'm still not getting any connection. We also have some more live matches next Saturday. Inter Milan versus Milan. Okay, that's it. Then Emirates Cup introduction. Wolfsburg play Villarreal. Plus some extra BT Sport audio specials. And then live 2050 more. Emirates Cup Arsenal play Lyon. On next Sunday. No, this is next Saturday, sorry. Also, Dortmund versus Juventus, Barcelona versus Manchester United International Champions Cup, Chelsea versus PSG. So we have a wide array of matches for you next week. Then we've got Emirates Cup action day 2. Who would win? We'll find out who would win in Arsenal versus Wolfsburg at 4:20. But before that, Lyon versus Villarreal. And more live international Champions Cups on next Monday. So that is a wide array of matches available for you this week and next week. I'm gonna fix the internet now, so
Change on the way. It's the end of the game for Jason Trefiro, the trialist. On comes really wants his team to be more ruthless this coming season, particularly against those teams that are struggling. Manchester City had their struggles against the likes of Burnley and Hull City at home last season. They were still the top scorers in the Premier League, but the goal return was down from the previous campaign. They swept all before them.
That's what really set them apart, I think, for Chelsea in the final reckonings. The fact that when they needed to, Chelsea ground out the games. They got the point. Going to different places around the Premier League and really knowing that you've got to get the points here, not just necessarily against the bigger boys at the Etihad.
Easy last season. Chelsea were relentless, absolutely relentless in their quest to win the title back.
So a man of his pedigree is really going to drive his team on this year to
Simoy. Touch. Wonderful chance. He will play it in his mind over and over again to score against Manchester City in the first half, but Mark Verino, the striker.
mark where teams start making changes and bringing substitutes on in these type of games. And upset the rhythm, but it's still early in pre-season. It is a vital part of the scheduling that the staff would have put down for the team. It is their chance to shine, it is their chance to show the manager what they can do to audition, if you like, for a place in that first team squad. More established players, we know what they're capable of, but it's more apply themselves in these pre-season games and getting themselves up to speed as quickly as possible.
High pressing from Potterloo.
He missed that sneaking into the back post and it didn't. Ever so unlucky.
Well, had the two best chances perhaps of the game, Melbourne City, and we've only got 20 minutes left on the clock. They've certainly been competitive against their big brothers, the EPL heavyweights, Manchester City, with a playing budget of $400 million. And as it stands, nothing between these two sides on the scoreboard here on the Gold Coast. Here's Barker. Chapman across in cover. Well, that will be the last contribution of Harry Novillo, and it was a pretty good one. He's replaced by Chris Cristaldo, the former Melbourne Victory player. And he gets a warm round of applause from the fans here, and he deserves it. Listen to the reception for Novillo.
Yeah, really good match. And Harry Novillo, certainly a big smile to the face of Johnny Van Skip and his coaching staff.
Here comes Horsfield, Nasri, Barker. Clichy. Space here for Barker. Goes down well in the end by Partaloo. who's almost playing as an auxiliary centre half of Melbourne City. Well, he did say pre-game men will Pellegrini that the result is not important, Robbie, but pretty sure he'd want to win this one.
And of course he would.
A draw against an A-League side. Michael might raise a few questions in Manchester, even if it is early in the pre-season. Here's Horsfield. Now Toure. Chance here for Melbourne City, careless Manchester City, but they can't make anything of it. And Horsfield, next opportunity down that right-hand side. He's got Navis in front of him, cut out by Clisby.
Just haven't been able to release Navas in this second half, have they? In the same way as they did in the first half.
Looking for Navas. Chance here for Man City. Comfortable save from Tando Balati in the end. Looks spectacular, but plenty of body behind the ball there, Tando Balati.
And good height for him as well. Navas involved.
And yet another change for Melbourne City, and this is a sign which will please Melbourne City fans. Michael Zullo about to make his debut.
All the gains you get, it's going to help you as a week step closer to the season. Good luck. Well done, Jack. Well done, mate.
So the Socceroo, Michael Zullo, back in the A-League after his move to Holland didn't really work out, blighted by injuries. Had that spell on loan at Adelaide United. Says he chose Melbourne City because of the professionalism at the club these days. Of course, they've got that wonderful new training facility at La Trobe University. A player who, to mine, Robbie, still has legitimate hopes of getting himself back into that Socceroo squad if he can get himself fit.
Well, there's proof there that if you come back to the under A League and you perform, you will get back in. You're just too far. Navis is quick, but not that quick. But as they say, he's got it all in front of him. The game's lost a lot of its pattern and rhythm now, as you expect, with so many changes on both sides.
Here's Chapman. Sydney in a hurry to get things moving, but showed way too much of it.
The last 10 minutes or so, Yaya Toure's been much deeper than he was for the large part of this game.
Parker works it onto the right boot, brings it onto the left, sets it up nicely. Nasri took too long.
Should have pulled the trigger. Sammy Nasri overcomplicated it. It was there to be hit. Their best chance of the second half. Good play from Brendan Barker on his left-hand side.
Never still working hard. Releases Horsfield. Well, that will be Brandon Barker's final act, because he's about to be replaced by a young player with high hopes about him. Enes Ünal, the Turkish youth international, arrived from Bursaspor. In fact, he was Manuel Pellegrini's first signing of the current transfer window. There's a fair bit of speculation that Enes Ünal may be able to force his way into the first team squad this season. That's how highly the coaching staff rate him. Certainly has a decent physique.
Youngest player to ever score Turkish Superliga. 10. Scored as a 16-year-old. Bursaspor.
Build that relationship up.
He was certainly targeted in the other big European clubs, so Manchester City got to him first.
I'll tell you what I find interesting, Robbie, about experimenting with the microphone tonight is just how much talking Luke Trenny does, and that's no disrespect in any way to him, but is that common for an assistant coach to do the bulk of the talking, if you like, on the sideline? To your knowledge?
Well, to my knowledge, I wouldn't know, but it's certainly been very interesting. It'd be a bit like me talking over the top of you all the time. I'm your assistant.
You do that pretty well. And what he says, I'm not disputing anything that Luke Trenny says.
No, he's
very keen, technical mind, and it's a great favour he's done us tonight, of course.
No, he's good.
I'm just curious about the
good
dynamic.
information. The one that was interesting is, the positioning, dragging Navio across, and getting a little bit lazy maybe at times, as wingers do, and like to hug that touchline, but getting the tuck in, and certainly sliding Kisnorbo to help Clisby has certainly been key. So it's been very interesting listening.
His company, maybe he'll start to insert himself more in the midfield. He'll want to win. The captain of Manchester City, Vincent Kompany, will be disappointed if they have to settle for a draw. 12 minutes remaining here at the Seabus Super Stadium on the Gold Coast. 0-0 between Manchester City and Melbourne City. First time two clubs owned by the City Football Group have played against each other. Crossing up at the back post. And it's good scrambling defence by Nick Simeon.
Yeah, dealt with that pretty well. Deep cross, now that's just getting his energy down that right-hand side. He hasn't had the impact in the first half, but
come on.
Now that's
Here we go.
His skill and his ability to assist. He's been up and down that touchline.
Be pretty keen to keep that clean sheet.
Three-header, difficult one. That's leading. He's on the near post and got himself a free header, a difficult one to control, though. Too much on it.
There's George Lamataridis, whose time at Brisbane Roar was certainly blighted by injury. He's honoured replacement for young Wade Decker. Another trialist hoping to convince John Van Skip to give him a contract. It's the sixth change now made by John Van Skip. Now Melbourne City down that left side, it's Zula. Takes on Horsfield. Does well to recover, but Espendola has it back for Melbourne City. Here's Rattray. Robbie, a lot of visiting coaches in the last couple of years have had some kind things to say about the improving standard of the A-League. Of course, we saw Sydney FC draw with Chelsea a couple of months ago. We saw Brisbane Roar very unfortunate to lose last night to Liverpool. Brisbane, of course, beat Villarreal a couple of months ago as well. We've had Wellington Phoenix beat West Ham United. This is all in the last couple of years. So while results don't matter, they certainly help the cause of the A-League and its reputation outside Australia.
It gives an indication of how far we've come. When you go back to yesteryear, without going too long into it, these types of clubs and lesser clubs used to come and play the Socceroos. There's never a chance of them playing club sides.
Nasri. Can Manchester City find the energy and the quality to get themselves a goal? In from Clichy. Delightful cross. Hasn't been cleared by Melbourne City. Nasri. Simeoy. That's a good run off the ball by Espinola, but that's just not just quality from Vincent Kompany. It's timing, it's everything.
And that's the quality.
The reading of the game, the energy, the fitness. He'd have to be up there as one of the best centre-halves in world football, wouldn't he? Vincent Kompany.
Didn't have a great season last season, though. A lot of criticism, but yeah, of course, over the seasons he's been absolutely brilliant.
Well, there is a mismatch physically there. We have to point that out. But as I mentioned, it's much as to do with timing as anything else from Vincent Kompany. Made mincemeat of Chris Cristaldo. Another player, incidentally, who has a pedigree. His father, Victor, played in the NSL for Melbourne Knights. In every sense of the word, Vincent Kompany. Here's Humphreys, the 16-year-old. It's had a fairly quiet match. We've got a lot to do. Yaya Toure, Nasri, now Horsefield. Walking pace now this match. What do you make, Robbie, of Manuel Pellegrini's decision to leave Kompany and Nasri and Toure and Clichy out there until the 85th minute mark of the game?
Well, I think given the changes,
saved by Valapi, couldn't hold on to it. It will be a corner.
He saves it well and then just drops it at the end. Had it well covered. It's good height. Decent counter from Nasri, but just going back to your questions, we see the strike. Comes through two players, but Mork's pretty close to go underneath him. And luckily for him, it's slightly out past the post rather than between the posts. But I think he's realised he needs experience out there.
It's a corner from Jose Pozo, and it's catching practice for Valapi, who has been pretty impressive tonight. He'll be relieved and delighted he goes into the season at this stage as undisputed first choice. It's been such a long road for Tando Valapi to get there. Here come Melbourne City. And in the end, Caballero comfortable.
Just looked for a moment though, didn't he? A decent connection, but Caballero very quick. The rest with him in that save from the first half. How quick he moves his feet, Caballero. Made that look easy, but the keeper might have got stuck to the spot and ends up sailing over your head.
10-year La Liga with Malaga and Elche. Willie Caballero, the Argentine goalkeeper, very much second choice to Joe Hart. Here come Man City again down that right side. Nasri must score and does! Finally, Samir Nasri gets his reward. A sweet strike it was too.
What a brilliant finish from Samir Nasri. That's special. I mean, he makes it look easy. It's all about his first touch and the technique on the volley, decent cross from Zuccalini. Navas was involved, releases Zuccalini, goes over Ines Bernal. Look at that, first touch, pops it up, and under pressure, look at the technique there. Might have just got a touch as well, Tendo Valapi, but there's too much pace and power. A thumping volley from Nasri, right from the top draw from the Frenchman.
Well, that is a quality strike from a quality player, and even Tando Valapi in this rich vein of form couldn't keep it out. He's been banging on the door, Samir Nasri, and finally he's blown it down. Applause there from Manuel Pellegrini.
Well, you just talked about the wisdom of keeping Nasri on, and Yaya Toure, Clichy, company. There you go. That's what you get. You get a winner, quite possibly.
Here's Pozzo.
Well, Nasri's been everywhere. You've got to talk about professionalism. He's had a hunger to play this game. He's been absolutely all over the park.
What we may assume is that those players we talked about, the experienced ones, might not be involved in Roma on Tuesday night, given the effort they put in here tonight, and indeed on Wednesday against Adelaide United. Here's Pozo again. Well, as we speak, those two aforementioned will be getting a rest, although not a very big one. Toure replaced by Evans. And the goal scorer, Samir Nasri, makes way. And it'll be Sekra Fofana who replaces him. Well, Tando Valapi finally beaten, but it needed a good strike from Samir Nasri. And he'll be replaced in goals by Yaron Sozet. There's John Penn Skimetti's the bench. Pantalou also comes off. It'll be Jake Allison on as well for Melbourne City, the former Western Sydney Wanderers defender.
I guess young players a taste against world-class opposition.
So Adelson's gone to his usual role as a right back. Had a few years at Everton as a youth player, Jake Adelson, comes from the western suburbs of Sydney. That change sees Nick Simioi pushed forward. There was a Simioi, in fact, who had away the free kick with a rather clumsy challenge on Enes Unop. And now Man City have a chance to perhaps double their lead from the set piece as we go into time added on. Navas is around that dead ball. A moment here for young Yaron Sozet. Navas will leave it. And that's not going to threaten the goal of Melbourne City, that free kick effort, by any means.
George Evans going for glory there. Enough tower behind us of Rory Souza.
Scorer in the postseason tour of Canada, George Evans, against Toronto FC. One of these young Manchester City players who faces a make or break season. Horsfield puts it down the line. Just a couple of minutes remaining. Here's Kisnorbo. Adelson gives it away to Clichy. It was Simio, I should say. Ozo. Clichy. Evans. Our company.
I think Johnny Van Skip, he's going to be disappointed they conceded pretty late as well. But overall, I think I'm delighted with the organisation of his side. Disappointed in the way they reorganised themselves in the second half after difficult periods in that first half, particularly with Navas being a real free run to the right-hand side. So they technically got a lot better. And they've had wonderful chances to score themselves. Go back to Stephen Moore, because we'll have nightmares about that one. Stephen Moore this evening. Forget is the lead-up play he was involved in and the running mate to get there. This is the case, it's quality of the final touch, isn't it? It was there for all to see. Sammy Nasri.
Adelson has stepped on the ball. Fana. So clipped up the park by Gal Clichy.
A tight one from Clichy there, I think. Swiss hit that.
Here's Simioy. There is the full-time whistle from Trevor Delovsky. And in the end, the class did tell. What a classy moment it was from Semi Nasri. The goal fitting of any match winner, really. It took a while for the EPL aristocrats to get the result they expected, and that's full credit to Melbourne City for a battling performance. Perhaps an understrength Melbourne City as well, but in the end, Manchester City continue their undefeated start to their pre-season. They won here against Adelaide United on Wednesday night. They won again here tonight against their sister club, Melbourne City, but they did leave it late. And you'd have to say a worthwhile outing for both sides and plenty of entertainment value for a good crowd which has turned up here at the CPUS Stadium. Manchester City now prepare for their International Champions Cup campaign over the next 10 days. For Melbourne City and John Van Skip, it's all about getting ready for that FFA Cup match against Edgeworth Eagles in a few weeks' time. A shake of the hand between the two managers. A result in the end which will relieve Pellegrini to some degree and perhaps frustrate John Van Skip. But ultimately, a competitive match here in the Gold Coast between these two sides. All time at the CPUS Stadium. Manchester City 1, Melbourne City 0. We'll now head.
Manchester is the home of the champions.
It's history in the making for the team now called Melbourne City.
Brilliant from David Silva. It's brilliant.
Chance from away. A wonderful sweeping move from Melbourne City.
It's Torre. Magnificent.
That check by Rami Curran.
It's Vincent Company. Right place, right time. 3 points in the back. In over 10. Patrick is normal for Melbourne City. Aguero. Fabulous football.
This is 10 Sports.
We hope you enjoyed our live coverage today of Melbourne City versus Manchester City. As you heard, the final score there at the stadium. Seabass was 0-0. Manchester City won. Stay tuned for interviews, but the time is 10:13 now in the UK. In 45 minutes, you'll see live coverage of the third place playoff of the Barclays Asia Trophy between Stoke City and Liverpool Saints 11. Stoke only missed lost on penalties to Everton, while Singapore St. 11 were hammered 4-0 by us. A huge there. Huge. But now, currently, the score in Madrid in the International Champions Cup, as you heard, Manchester City are preparing for it with a friendly against Melbourne. So, the score now is between Real Madrid and Roma. The score at the moment is 0-0. We're approaching the 15-minute mark. Go to my channel, you'll find that match. You can find live audio capture of it. That's a secret stuff. I'm sorry for the technical issues that you've experienced in this match. It just does not occur. Till then, have a good day. These are just some sports adverts related bullshit. We're just waiting for us. In fact, from everyone in Ayub HQ and our sponsors, goodbye, good morning, and